Go from your side. No. Go from your side.
Okay.
I will stop sharing.
Okay, thank you. So,
although this is not aware, but it seems there is some confusion about some of the button. Just go ahead.
Just give me one half a minute, and I will.
Okay.
Okay, sir, you can. Is this visible everywhere?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Just when I say next, then change the slide.
Of course. Let me introduce Dr. Abdelaziz is a professor, and he has done a lot of work in this field of pastoralism and transhumance as well. He comes from Sudan originally, having a huge amount of work in the region and experiences as well. Right now, he is in Egypt, and then maybe some difficulties related to the internet, I guess. So his profile is on the platform, and you please read about him. And of course, you will be interacting with him over this week, particularly. So I invite Dr. Abdulaziz to take this session and coordinate the proceeding. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hazrat. First, I would like to welcome all of you on board with us on this live stream session. And I have already been introduced to you. I'm really glad actually to be part of this process, as well as to present this live stream session about pastoralism and transhumance. And also I was following the previous lectures, and I got some, I sensed some of the feelings of the interest among all those who attended that stream sessions with my colleague, Dr. Khorshid. And as he told you, I'm from Sudan. I'm involved in the field of pastoralism as well, along field work, along research, along studies, and at regional, at international, as well as at national levels. This live stream session is focusing on pastoralism and transhumance, its importance and its challenges. This photo is from south parts of Darfur. Next, please, Azara. Pastoralism and transhumance, importance and challenges. One of the most important things about pastoralism itself as a field that have different views and different expressions and settings along the world, whether at Asian context or European context or African context, and at different landscape levels and even different environmental levels. Even in Africa, more than one level. Pastoralism, though, many schools are describing pastoralism as a production system. Pastoralism is not only a production system, it is also a land use system. And I always like to go in this direction as the view of IIED, International Institute for Environmental Development, that and definition of FAO, that pastoralism is a land use system that relies mainly on livestock herding as a main asset. It is a system that associated with the use of natural rangelands by pastoralists. And taking pastoralism with this understanding has its implication on the way how to assess this and how to work with this. And implications on understanding, when you say land use system, it is like farming, it's like agriculture. It requires to have a land as a theater where all the actors of the system will exist and play their roles. Transhumance not transhumance. Back, please, Hazara, the same. Transhumance is a form of pastoralism. I mean, they are not parallel definitions. They are two definitions or two concepts. Pastoralism, transhumance is a practice of pastoralism, which is linked by mobility or movement. Next, please, Hazara. Next, please. Pastoralism has three main components. It has rangeland resources. See, it said resources, rangeland resources, communities, and herds. And if you look at this design, that they are interlinked, they work together, they affect each other, just like the gears in one engine. They have to go smoothly in order to be linked with each other to create a movement. But not only these components, even the frame, you see the square that I put, the frame which is the enabling environment. With enabling environment is about the policies, about the laws, about the regulations, about the social settings, about the understandings and appreciation. This is like the belt of the car gears that will keep the balance, strike the balance between the different components. So then, and what actually I want to send very strongly, that pastoralism is a land use system. Yes, it is a production system, but not only a production system. Any factory can be a production system. It is also a land use system because the issue of land, especially for those who are from Africa, it links with conflicts. It links with the sensitization of the decision maker. It is a very complicated issue. So please let us put it very strongly. It is a land use system. There is implication about this understanding. Pastoralism is a culture, way of life, economic and livelihood system. Pastoralism to be dealt as a land use system have interlinked components, which is very important and very important setting. Sorry, my voice is a little bit changed because I got a cold. I hopefully my pronunciation will be clear. Next, please, Hasan. Again, please. Yes, there are some very important concepts that we actually need also to set, because this is the mean of communication between us and at the same time with others, especially those who are decision makers. These settings is important because it make it clear to exchange information and ideas about what do you mean. For example, rangelands constitute vast areas of land with permanent, seasonal cover of herbaceous, shrubby, and or trees cover. Look at it deeply. It is not just a pure grassland. It is shrubby. It is because you know that some of the areas, even in the semi-arid areas, were dominated by trees like acacia tortilis. This is one of the most important grazing area because they support feeding of the camel, because this is a broad. So rangelands is broad spectrum understanding for different landscape with different characteristics for different needs, supporting different types of livestock, and even, as I said in the definition, habitat for livestock as well. This could be clear. In Turkana area in Kenya, this is also very clear in northern part of Sudan, in Ethiopia as well, in Somalia as well, where rangelands and areas which look very dry, but supporting big numbers of camels. In Sudan, in Somalia, maybe number one in the world. In Sudan could be sharing with Somalia number 1 or 2 or something like this. So rangelands should be broadly understood and should be looked at this setting. Next, please. This is the rangelands. Then pastoralists are those for whom livestock raising is economically and culturally important, viable, and dominant. It means that the communities who are involved in practicing pastoralism, while the term shepherds, which I shared some of understanding, usually about those who are hired, not necessarily to be the owners themselves. This is the context maybe understood in many of the countries, but could be with another understanding in others, but I'm sharing the understanding of shepherds. Sometimes they work with the owners hired by giving them number of animals. For example, I will give you 2 cows, or I will give you 2 goats, or 2 sheep, or something like this, for if you look after. But at the end, the main role of the shepherd is to look after the livestock in the herding process. While pastoralists are those who own the livestock or own animals in the process of pastoralism. Next, please, Hazar. Also, some people may confuse a little bit between rangelands and pasture. But according to FAO and some other definitions, range and pasture are used interchangeably. But mainly that rangelands are mainly natural, native, and have social, economic, and environmental importance, while pasture is more influenced by human activity, planted or intensively altered by management with an objective oriented more towards animal production. What I mean actually, that even rangeland not necessarily to be not ever being touched by human beings. They are being touched because as we're working in the field of rangeland management, people interfere. But dominantly the rangeland, they interfere in a direction of keeping the peculiarities of the rangeland. So it is dominantly natural. Next, Hazarat, please. If you look at these 3 photos, the one in the left where there is a tree is rangeland, and the one in the left is rangeland. Here you see trees. So definition of rangelands is not what they taught us in the schools. That is marginal lands, arid lands, areas when, as if giving you the sense that have no value. The one in the left where there is a dominant area, most of you are familiar with Panicum tergidum, as you see here. And even there is sometimes understanding for most of those who are working in the field, saying good range plant and bad range plant. This is not exactly. For example, the species you see here is Panicum tergidum. It is not edible by livestock, but it is a valuable rangeland plant because you grow it in order to live the rangeland. So these understandings and settings are very important. If you look at the picture, this is from northern part of the Red Sea, where you see the area is very dry, but still this is one of the most important rangelands where 5 million heads of camels are kept, contributing significantly to the economy of countries like Sudan, Ethiopia, and northern Kenya. So we should have a broad spectrum about understanding of what is the rangelands, and also being familiar with the conceptual frameworks which we need to exchange among us as those who are involved in this field, as well as a mean of communication with the decision maker, so that they have to know the mean how we can sensitize them in order to be involved in this sector. Next, please. Categorizing pastoralists. Sorry. This is also one of the most important things. Because, for example, if you want to say which category, also this is a mean of communication. If you want to deliver a service in any development project, like, for example, vaccination or something like this. So there are different ways of categorizing the pastoralist picture. According to family settlement, there could be nomads in a complete movement, with portable houses. There could be semi-nomads. There could be semi-settled. Semi-nomads are more look like nomads than being semi-settled, partially stay and partially move, and those settled and transhumans. According to the type of livestock, this is dominantly, I know, used in Asia as well as in Africa, even in Europe. There could be cattle herders, like saying Bagara, or sheep and goats herders and camel herders, because also you have to use this context. And usually this differentiation is important because different type of animal use different rangeland areas. Next, please. Also, they categorized according to scale of involvement. They are semi-nomadic pastoralists. Those live part of the family in the homestead, or nomadic. This is even for the pastoralist. Nomadic pastoralists characterized by high mobility, where the entire families and herd move. And agro-pastoralists normally practice significant cultivation alongside with livestock. As I said, that this is always make it easy. Pastoralism and rangelands and issues related to the nature of the rangelands is not that old subjects developed in more developed countries. It is almost started to be important after late 80s and early 90s when the issue of climate change came up. And as you know, that most of the researches in more developed countries focus in ranches and farming more than focusing on natural rangelands, which is dominated in Asian and in African countries. And now, luckily, the issues with the climate change issues, and the way most of the research and most of organizations, especially development programs, are more involved. By the way, they are really involved after 80s, especially in Kenya, in Sudan, in Ethiopia, in Somalia, and even in Asia, as well. And that is the thing. Next, please. Rangeland management and grazing management. Also, two terms some may confuse. Range management is about rangeland management deals with all the details required to achieve various, managing rangeland in order to achieve goals. Goals of rangeland could be economic, could be environmental, could be of social. These are 3 dimensions aimed by rangeland management. And to ensure that all the components of the rangeland are in integrity and rangeland health is kept well. While grazing management deal with the way how you manage grazing. Grazing is a part of rangelands. Rangelands are not only for grazing, but grazing part of rangelands. And grazing is very important. Grazing is like shaving hair. Livestock is part of keeping the balance, striking the balance of the rangeland health. Next, please. There is an issue of common property resources use, CBRs. Is a condition where natural resources are owned, managed, and used by several users simultaneously or sequentially. Common property resources use, it's very common, could be in Asian and in African settings, rather than being in Europe setting. Because in Europe, if you take examples of Spain, they already legalize the routes. The routes are demarcated, legalized. They set laws and regulations and all these aspects, which puts the process more in order. While in Africa, all of us know that it is a common property resources use as rangelands, as well as water and all this stuff. And this is sometimes linked by conflict over resources use. And this is a separate issue related to rangeland management and related to issues to be addressed. And there is a number of studies and research and efforts, and most of the projects, development projects and programs working in a number of countries actually involved in the process of conflict and conflict resolution, conflict arrangement, and these things. And also working a lot about involving communities themselves in the issue of harmonizing the use and ensuring that there is no conflict. So common property use, which raised the issue of tragedy of the common of Calvin, I think 1970 something, and the debate around that. This is one of the issues which we actually we put and recommended some of the reading. I hope all of you will be able to go through while they are reviewing the module. Overgrazing, a word that you have here and there. Overgrazing. What is overgrazing? Is it because animals go inside the farms? Or why? Because the number of animals is big? Or because the rangeland is shrinking? Or because farms is encroaching? We have really a problem with describing what is overgrazing, which a concept should be looked at conservatively. Overgrazing, when simply is one about something about more animals and limited rangeland resources. But we have to look what is the reason behind. Because encroachment of animals in the farm or encroachment of farms in the rangelands. And also this is one of the issues in number of countries in Asia, even in Africa. We are always accusing pastoralists and farmers by encroaching on farmland. Our farmlands are encroaching the livestock routes or the resting and grazing area. So this is always confusing issues, which need to be actually very clear. The issue of rangeland not at equilibrium, and mostly in arid and semi-arid areas, whether in Asia or in Africa. And this context actually raised in strongly after 90s, in 1992 and 1993. That is, in arid areas, environment is not at equilibrium. Rainfall is not, you cannot predict rainfall. You cannot know where it will be dry and where. So one of the problems which faced those who are involved in this field, including myself, the way we have been taught is how to assess rangelands is to use methods that based were not suitable for, like carrying capacity concept and all these concepts. What really raised it is issue about the rangeland health. That is health and rangeland integrity. That is the rangeland component of the rangelands are the functions of the rangeland system. This is also one of the points to be considered. Conflicts is linked also with the common property use in open grazing lands. And most in different areas where there are a competition between farmers and herders. And also number of bodies, number of organizations. Now they are doing a lot of work in raising the capacity of nomads and the social setting, and also about the conflict resolution and all this stuff. But more efforts are required in order to avoid conflicts. The shortest way is to organize the use of rangeland resources, to recognize the needs of the different groups, and to harmonize also the use of these resources professionally. Next, please. Rangeland health. Just let us have a glimpse of understanding it. It is a degree to which the integrity of the soil and ecological process. As I said, that rangelands is not only for feeding livestock, it is for saving our environment. It is about protecting us from the climate change expected coming problems. So soil and soil rangelands as a components is very important. Wiser contribution to organic matter in the soil, conserving water system. I just want to give a very serious example, not emphasizing in my country, but it is very clear for most of the people who are concerning about this issue. Western Sudan, Darfur, I know everyone now knows Darfur because of some wars and like this thing. There is no any river there. All the place is seasonal courses. And seasonal courses cannot exist there unless rangeland resources. When I say rangelands, I see all the herbaceous, shrubby, and Woodlands. Woodlands, according to FAO, is not the forest. Woodlands is not the forest. Go to Forest Resources Assessment System 2005 of FAO, which is globally agreed. All these areas are rangelands. If these rangelands are not healthy, all the water or hydrological process in the area is not in place, then there will be a problem. Hydrologic function, you know it very well. Precipitation of water, precipitation in grasses, all of you, I'm sure, know that as well if they are involved in natural resources management, integrity of biotic community. So rangelands also for wildlife, for biological community, for all this stuff. If you want to get rid of pastoralists and livestock, but you are still need to keep rangeland integrity. And also this will not solve the problem, because if there is no animals or livestock in the rangelands, there will be a problem, as I told you. If you don't shave your head, you will have a problem. The use of animals for rangelands is very important. Because of the grasses and trees remain until the coming rainy season, the area will be got rotten. And there are so many things like this, what we call environmental balance, as components and as users. Next, please. I will not give so many details about the economic importance. Just I will to give examples. Just to remember, all of us know the importance of them, especially those from Asia and from some African countries. I know even in Europe is important, especially along the environmental dimension. Pastoralism and livelihood for an estimated 268 million people and present 10 to 44% of gross domestic product for most of African countries. There is sometimes things very funny. The number of livestock in certain African countries is about 4 times the number of the total population. ILRI, International Livestock Research Institute, raised the issue of the economic value of pastoralism and also raised the issue of the total economic value, TEV, because there are so many value, including nyama choma in Kenya as a source of income and of social value of the people to come together. In Africa, the economic value of pastoralism in Africa is estimated as 1.3 trillion US dollars. A lot of money. Most of the African countries do not import even 1 kilo of meat from abroad. If you know the compensation value of this, and then tell the Ministry of Finance how much money is spared, because, and this is the language how to sensitize the decision makers. In Central Asia, let us remember Asia as well, like Kazakhstan, pastoralism represents about 20% of, and you can check that with WISP, that World Initiative for Sustainable Development, WISP-2A. Just I want to say it very brief. No one, if you can tell about the values. And most of these just the tangible. There are number of intangible values, as I told you. Next, please. This is, I'm not going to take time here. You can read it later. It's just these slides give number from different sources about the value of pastoralism. I just give an example, and I prefer to go to the next slide. This will be, I know we'll put in the site, and you can go through these figures. Environmental importance, biodiversity. I mentioned a number of environmental importance, biodiversity conservation, animal and plant genetic resources. I spoke about environmental health as well, and also general environmental services, maintain vegetation, capture carbon, and this is one of the main issues. Contribution, by the way, of rangelands on capturing carbon. There is a number of information about them. And I put some of the reference. And I like one of Kenyan papers about that, and giving you even equations and based on research work, even if you want to calculate the amount of carbon in ton that rangeland fix. reducing erosion? Definitely. Erosion will be reduced, definitely, because range cover will slow the movement of water. And if you know that power, it is a matter of mass and speed. So it slow down the movement of water, speed of water, add organic matter as well, and altering soil characteristic, give it more time for infiltration of water in the soil, and water holding capacity and regulation services. Climate change adaptation through mobility. I mean that here the practice itself is more environment friendly compared, for example, farming in the clay plains of most of the African and Asian countries. There is a rotation, but still there is an exhaustive use of soil, which affect the soil characteristic, physical and chemical characteristic. Carbon sequestration, mainly for potential grassland. Next, please. Challenge facing measuring value of pastoralism. This is what I have mentioned. And this is have to be really known. And it is very important in the sensitization of the decision maker in relation to be making them more concerned about policies, regulations, laws. Because the reality, farmers are more in towns, more educated in so many areas, they have more influential power compared with pastoralists. Though late now, pastoralists are really developing because of being supported by a number of organizations in a process of community organization, raising awareness, and also the extension among pastoralists have some challenges compared with that farmers. So very appreciated efforts from different bodies, including FAO, by trying to make pastoralist schools, pastoralist extension schools. Also, you may look at that in the internet. There are very good models in this process. Indirect values associated with pastoralists are not well recognized yet, though known, like tourism and its value and ecosystem health that are poorly understood. I know in some of places in Africa, even the salary for the teacher could be paid only after the taxes have been taken from pastoralists. The social and cultural values of livestock and livestock products, including as a social value, are rarely being measured or considered. You also can read in the module something about this, and there is a recommended readings for regarding that. Next, please. There are so many number of misconceptions about pastoralism. I know everywhere where pastoralism is practiced. What I want to give here is just an example. Many people just believe that pastoralism is an ancient form or an outdated form of production whose time has already passed. This is very old and primitive practice. So, in these countries where like this belief might exist, or the meats consumed in that country is from this group, from the pastoralists. And as I said, no, 1 kilo is imported from that. And some of the people also say that this is not developed. But at the same time, let us ask ourselves what research and improvement we do in order to develop the pastoralism and pastoralists as well. The contribution to local economy or national economy, few knows exactly what is the value. Livestock mobility is unnecessary and outdated. Most rangeland have deteriorated as a result of overgrazing. Some people think that even pastoralism is a fragile system. Pastoralism is not a fragile. It is a resilient system. It is existing since thousands of years. It is existing along years of drought, like the biggest strike of droughts that crossed number of African and Asian countries in early 80s. One of the land use practices really found resilient is the pastoralism, and it is still existing and is still well. Pastoralists contribute little to national economy, and this is not true. Pastoralism has very low productivity, and sedentary livestock farming is more productive than mobile farming. So I know there is many debates about that, and also it is very interesting. You go and read it. Pastoralists need to settle in order to benefit from services. But one can ask themselves, when we say mobile pastoralism, what do we mean? Movement of livestock or movement of the people? I want you to look at, to try to work with this question. Next, please, Hazan. Next, pastoralist development. This is one of those who are, I think one of the writers, I think he is Sanford. I am across, I think across a book called, he said that pastoral communities development is the most difficult chapter in rural development. Yes, they are not, I think there is a challenge in pastoralist development because we have to be part of the context. We have to understand how to change it. Luckily, after 70s and 80s, number of development programs work in different countries in Asia, even could be in Europe or in Africa as well, work with pastoralists. And as I told you, this climate change is a friend of pastoralists. I always say that because the international concern come to the rangelands, and this, of course, encompasses pastoralism as well, as a problem of the dealing with the climate change. Clear definition of the rangeland resources and pattern of pastoralism development will need to be actually clearly addressed. Land ownership, one of the challenges, especially under the zone of common property use, organization and legalization pattern of pastoralism resources, identifying rangelands, because the land sometimes used sequentially and alternately, and this will be recognized and understood. And this is the reason why I said I like to focus on looking at pastoralism as a land use. I know it is a production system, but it is a land use like farming. Power and levels of law enforcement, and this is linked with the sensitization of the decision maker rights and duties. It's important. Sensitization of decision makers. I think this is a big issue. It links with the research, in link of putting physical evidences. It's looking about improving the total economic valuation and put it in reality, making it strongly in order to convince also a concern. This is a very important sector. Research. One of the challenging about research is that the research is more advanced countries was as you involve more in animal production. We need now actually to more elaborate on the research regarding pastoralism as well. Next, please. Sustainability. I think we are coming to the end of this. Sustainability is not only about considering natural rangeland resources. It is about the system. It is about rangeland health. It is about integrity. It is about alleviating the climate change impact, about understanding that pastoralism is a part of sustaining natural resources. I think let us hammer strongly on this concept because this is what we need actually for the livelihood to be intact. And this is not a country-specific issue. It is a global issue. Next, please. This is all I think. Thank you, Hazan. First, I would like to excuse that, to apologize that I didn't I think something happened here with my computer. This is the reason why you shift the slides from your side. I hope what I said is clear. My voice is clear, as I told you that I got a cold, and this is all I have, Dr. Hazan. Thank you for all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Abdelaziz. I was very closely looking at your slides because I had this opportunity to operate your slides, right? I think in starting a few slides where you explained the differences between, for example, rangelands and pastures, and also the pastoralism and transhumance. I feel that you may have confused our audience further. I don't know. The questions will questions will indicate whether you have confused or you have clarified. So questions are invited, please. Come to the camera or you can write in chat box.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I can.
Hello, this is Cynthia Hathaway. And I think it was just because the slides went fast at one moment that I thought, I need to know the difference between pastoralists. And then you talked about the shepherd. At least I think you talked about the shepherd as being hired. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I said also this is different from the understanding is different from a place to another.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello there.
Hello, please.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Professor Abdelaziz, for the wonderful presentation. I just wanted to clarify and confirm that you mentioned rangeland resources, and these are beyond just the pasture, meaning that when you talk about rangeland resources, then we will include the other non-pasture resources in the rangeland. But would this also include the extractive minerals, for instance? Would they be included under those rangeland resources? Then number two, I think you indicated 3 types. I think of pastoralists, we have the agro-pastoralists, semi-nomadic and the nomadic. And you didn't include that agro-pastoralists have a significant amount of agriculture that they do besides livestock keeping. So would it be correct also to say that you can have agro-pastoralists who are nomadic and agro-pastoralists who are semi-nomadic? Is it possible? Because if we are on the move, but then we decide to do some short-term agriculture, would it still fall under agro-pastoralists? Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know whether you get that.
Okay. Actually, what is agreed for agro-pastoralists, they are farmers raising livestock. I mean, they are farmers raising livestock. For this, they will call them agro-pastoralists. And this is what is used as I see, because I told you this is not something that's set, but this is what is practiced and agreed. Agro-pastoralists are those who actually practice farming. For example, in my country, Sudan, agro-pastoralists are those who practice farming and keeping livestock. They're more or less semi-settled. And they sometimes hire what, if we say shepherds, if you like to call it like this. But it is a part because they are concerned. I know this is one of the categorization adopted by number of organizations who classify these definitions in their studies. So yes, agro-pastoralists are those who are practicing, and they practice farming as well as they are keeping livestock. Regarding minerals, when I say rangelands, I am speaking about natural rangeland resources. Rangeland resources. Because the word range itself, it does not have something to do with plant or grass in the name itself. Range is a fayafi. I mean, when I say ranger in the surveying group is the one who move in distances. And if you remember the American nice movie, Rangers, those who move in areas, because the definition of the rangeland is starting with the vast areas. So range is not we always have the feeling when we say range, we are targeting plant. No, we are targeting wide areas that dominated by herbaceous and not, I didn't say grass, because herb also include grasses, you know that. So it is herbaceous, shrubby, and tree cover. This is the right concepts about understanding.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Dr. Abdelaziz, you have a couple of questions in the chat box. Please read them.
Okay.
And I have a couple of questions for you, if you allow me.
Say here in the sharing or more whiteboard reset document. Stop. Yeah. Chatting, yeah. Participant share of questions. Where is the question?
Dr. Abdelaziz, I think I can read for you, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
First, you answer my question. My question is, you have written in your slide the classification of the pastoralists: nomad, semi-nomad, semi-settled, and what, agro-pastoralist or what? But in agro-pastoralists, you have written in the bracket transhumant.
Yeah.
Or you know, settled something you have written. Can I share your slide then, so
Okay,
that we can clarify this? So, but here my point is, what is the difference between the semi-settled and semi-nomadic? Here.
According to family settlement, according to type of livestock, according to family settlement, we say nomads, those who are in complete movement with their livestock.
No. I'm not asking you to repeat everything. I'm just asking the difference between semi-nomad and semi-settled.
Okay. Those who are semi-nomads are more closer to nomads. Those who are semi-settled are more closer to settled, because you cannot put, the semi-nomads close to be nomads, and the semi-settled close to be settled. But those who are settled, they do not move as families at all. They send livestock with some persons from the families themselves. I think that where transhumans need to be removed, the versions that I couldn't share, actually, I reviewed it and removed things that which I thought not in proper law in place. So it is settled.
I think my confusion again increases.
Okay, go ahead.
Because in my understanding, the nomad has a connotation of the mobility. The person who is mobile is termed as the nomad. I don't know what the exact anthropological definition is, but in my understanding, nomad means the person who is moving, mobile, right? So the person who is settled, semi-settled, is also mobile.
Yes,
right?
Not the person. Not when you come here, not the person. In all cases, livestock move. In all cases.
Oh, so the semi-nomad pastoralists are also moving with their livestock, and semi-settled pastoralists are also moving with the livestock. So what is the difference?
Okay. You have two variables, livestock and families. Two variables, livestock and families. In all cases, livestock move in order to exist. But some people are in continuous movement with portable houses. They have no place to stay permanently. They are nomads. Those who sometimes settle, but not dominantly. Sometimes they settle, but not dominant. They are semi-nomads. Some people who are mostly settled, but with limited movement as families, they are semi-settled. And there are families who do not move as families, but they arrange for their animals to move with members from their families. They are settled. Settled as houses. This is understanding.
Okay, so now you are trying to explain on the basis of the family, okay? So if the family is moving, then they are semi-nomad along with the pastoralist, right? If the family is not moving along with this pastoralist, then they are semi-settled, right?
Their family do not move at all?
No. I'm saying family does not move at all. They are settled. We understand.
Yes.
There is no dispute in this. Okay.
Okay.
And the family is always moving with the pastoralist.
They are nomads.
They are nomad. There is no dispute in it.
Yeah.
Okay. The problem is semi-nomad and semi-settled.
Yeah.
They look similar. They look similar.
Actually, yes, I agree with you. They look similar, but the difference that the semi-nomads, though move, but the movement is very limited. Very limited. They are semi-nomads, as if they are nomads. And those who are semi-settled, they nearly settled, but not completely settled. I mean, semi-settled and settled, semi-settled and semi-nomads are very close to each other, but in the degree of movement, that it is.
I know. So then is again leading to confusion. So
okay,
why is it so?
Let us make it easy. Say nomad.
Nomads. Okay, let us close this discussion because we are losing the time of others.
Okay.
So here the settled and transhumant you have written. So you are writing in one category. How the transhumant are basically
no. This is, as I told you, in the reviewed version, I remove this transhuman.
Okay.
You are using the one that I said.
Okay.
It is settled.
Okay, fine. Any other questions, please? Sorry to intervene. You can please speak on camera or on the mic, please come forward. Those who have written the questions in the chat box, please speak your questions here so that he understands and then replies.
Also, I can see if there is any comments here.
Yeah, this is Isaac Lokwar. I'd written my question in the chat. Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, Professor. Thank you so much for the presentation. One thing caught my eye. This is Isaac.
Yeah.
I thought you would give an example what happens in Darfur in terms of rangeland health monitoring. Who does the monitoring of the rangeland health and how? And are there available simplified tools used by the pastoralists? How do they respond against the rangeland health as deteriorated? Those are a few questions I have. Thank you.
Yeah. I think this is a good question as well. Therefore, pastoralism is the main livelihood practices among majority of the people who are staying there, raising cattle as well as raising camel in the northern part of Darfur. And as you know, there is no permanent water courses in that area. And the main land uses are farming and livestock raising. And there are livestock routes passing from south part of Darfur, cross all the area up to the northern part of Darfur, where there are 5 states. Number of international organizations actually working in Sudan since number of years, and in projects and programs targeting pastoralists. And the use is common property resources. What people do actually there is to adopt an integrated natural resources management and focusing on IWR, integrated water resources management as well, because water is an issue. And it is a seasonal courses crossing different areas. And according to the nature of that place, nomads or herders have to move sometimes for more than possibly 500 kilometers from the south to north and north to south to avoid some of the problems in some areas where the environment might not be conducive, like insects and flies and all the stuff that you know, to move north. When they move, you cross areas of different tribes. They have something like agreement between different tribes on how to manage that. So what you do is actually to promote the existing system, because the existing system is being adopted since hundreds of years. And what these projects do actually is try to bring them together, help coordinating, bringing stakeholder, ensure together whether formal or social, and creating networks and all these aspects in order to keep integrity of the process of resources management in the area. And this is what is actually being done now. But maybe under the condition of the war and like stuff, the system will be disturbance. But my answer is that this is a practice. There is an agreement between the different tribal leaders, and also because you will not stick to your areas, you will cross to the areas of others. I think this is a good example actually to be learned for most of the African countries as well, because it is a long experience about that. I think this is a good question. This is a situation actually. Building on the existing traditional system, bringing stakeholders together in order, promoting social agreements and all this stuff, adopting a landscape or integrated natural resources management approaches. Okay.
So someone else want to ask? Please speak. Do not raise the hand.
Hello. Yeah. Good evening. Thank you, Professor, for the nice and clear presentation. My question is about nomadic pastoralist system. Where can we find globally still pure nomadic systems? And are these systems related more to arid and semi-arid regions like Somalia, Sudan, or Sahelian zones? Or is nomadism in the pure form slowly disappearing? Because from my experience, a lot of pastoralists shifted from pure nomadic system into transhumance, like we could see in Turkana County, Kenya, or even Karamoja. Are there still pure nomadic systems globally? Thank you.
Yeah. Nomadic pastoralism is mainly existing now in African countries. And maybe Hazrat also may say something here. I think even in Asia, if that exists, but dominantly in Africa is existing, and mainly in arid and semi-arid areas as a practice where still families are in continuous move with their livestock, and they are with their moving even with their houses. Although we are trying actually to put to make it clear in different components, but the practice is sometimes vary according to the conditions. We put like this definition in order to make it clear as understanding. But the herders sometimes may stay a little bit or something like this, depending on so many. The challenge that the development process, the research, how we improve the situation of pastoralism in a number of countries is not to that standard actually to digest the process and to put it actually or to develop it in harmonized manner for the benefit of the users as well as for the benefit of the countries themselves. Is still existing as a mode of life in number of countries.
I think there are certain groups existing in Asia.
Okay.
Um, yeah, who are we can say 100% nomadic.
Mm.
They are existing, but their number is not very high. They are very few. Reason being, globally, this paradigm of sedentarizing the nomads uh, has has been popular, especially by the governments, and majority of the nomadic people have been either partially settled or fully settled. So their character of nomadism is already endangered. So still, I mean, in some remote locations, very remote locations, where state interference or the state is very indigenized sometimes. In some locations, if you see, the state machinery is also indigenized. So in those particular cases, the pure nomadism is allowed still. Otherwise, mostly it is under onslaught. Okay. Other
Yeah,
questions, please?
just add something very important to what you have already said.
Mm.
Sometimes many people mix also. I said that is the sedentarization. Sedentarization should be looked also carefully for livestock or for families, because livestock have to move, because the using of rangelands depend on the rangeland situation, and sometimes move more than 400 to 500 kilometers. So when we come to sedentarization, we have to be also clear. Sedentarization of people, yes. Sedentarization of livestock, there is a number of questions, there are a number of situations that should be considered.
Yeah, Professor, I have a question in regards to policy and transhumance. Citing an example of the Horn of Africa, recently we have the Transhumance Protocol by IGAD, and a few out of 8, I think up to about, not a few, but many have assented to it, but perhaps they have not ratified, they have not made it into law. And I'm sure you have gone through the Transhumance Protocol. However, behind the door, you realize that a country like Uganda, is again pushing for sedentarization. Yeah. So how best can such policies be well formulated to ensure that there is uniformity? On top of that, Uganda since beyond 2010, it still has the Rangeland policy in the shelves, yeah, and yet it is signing. The country has signed on the Transhumance Protocol, but it has not passed its own law in terms of Rangeland. So how best can these policies really help to in relation to the development of the pastoralists? Because on the other side, you are signing these documents, and yet you are pushing for sedentarization. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for this, for raising this critical point, actually. I was one of those who are involved in assessing and attending meetings regarding finalization of the IGAD protocol for cross-borders transhumance. For those who are not from Africa, I just want to tell that livestock have to move, as I said, for long distances. And this is enforced and implied by the pattern of the resources. And this is the reason why I said when you say sedentarization, livestock have to move. And sometimes they have to move because of TCT supplies, because of to stocking that, especially for goods. The message that livestock have to move because this is a pattern of resources. movement will need sometimes to cross countries. For example, in my country, nomads or pastoralists cross to other 5 countries. And the IGAD from the African Union actually plan for a protocol, that protocol to organize the movement of livestock or the mobility of livestock by, for example, making like chips, registering, making something like a passport or what you can say, and regulating this system, ensuring that it will go smoothly. By the way, even before this protocol, since very long times, tribes in different countries, they have their own system. For example, tribes from Sudan, going to South Sudan, the tribe leaders themselves having the system, they know what taxes to pay in terms of livestock heads and like these things. The situation about the IGAD protocol is not ratified, yes, as you said. Not all the countries have already signed. But and this is one of the challenges that facing pastoralism among these countries. Hopefully, more efforts to be exerted and to see that point being reached for the benefit of all these countries. And even the countries who think that they do not need animals from other countries to come to their countries, I ask them don't to forget in this arid and semi-arid, sometimes where the drought will come, which will enforce you to go to other countries. And this is a point, my brother. Shukran. This is, I think, a good point to be raised.
Any other point, or we close it?
Yeah, I have a question. Or first of all, thank you, Prof. Abdelaziz, for these valuable lectures and very nice lectures about this topic. And I need to emphasize some challenge facing transhuman or nomadism. And we know there are much debate about transhumans and development of the pastoralist society. And also there's 2 facts. The best way of use for the rangeland or pasture is nomadism or transhumans. And the second point is difficult for providing the necessary of essential development of service for this nomadic. And this very challenge is can join these 2 points to solve this challenge or find more useful for this patents. Yeah.
Okay. Muhammad Fatur, salam. Hi. As you said, that there is still a number of challenges. Actually, these sectors have been ignored for a long time. And the total economic valuation, which I have already said, the understanding of rangeland grows when it rains. As you know that, it grows when it rains. That it is very wide, and no one thinks that we will not to collect seeds or to broadcast seeds, but with the growing competition between different resources users and uses, many problems come up. And I think now the process is improving. As you know that, and you are working in the research in Sudan, I know that the research resources and the focus is very limited. And even in the even there was no, in many countries, researches, and the focus is mainly on the modern animal production. Even up to now in Africa, the focus on animal production is more than the focusing in pastoralism in terms of financing, research, and all this stuff. Even the education about pastoralism and all this stuff, and its contents in the courses, and that is still limited and just started to develop. So the situation is improving. It is very important actually to know that. And what I always like to stress on, this is not something to cancel or to delete, because it is a system, and livestock part of the system, and the system should be healthy. Otherwise, the environment will be It is not something for us to choose. It is a reality and it is a surrounding. It health is that is mean our existence. So this is a challenge, as you said. Number of international bodies and organizations come on board. As I saw that, a lot of work now from IIED and other bodies, from even United States, from different countries, and organizations like this, IFAD, FAO, and now are focusing on issues related to pastoralism. And this course as well is one of the efforts that actually to shed lights, to raise important, and to raise the flagella of sensing on why important, and with importance, actually we will more care about the thing, and we'll see the things are improved.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So any other point or question?
I see here work out some comments. Work out in a way about the should be the specific policies to be created to enhance replacement. Actually, the issue, there is a comment here, like a question in the chat. Something is about sensitization of the decision maker. And this cannot be, the decision maker always wants something to convince them. And they want something to make them feel this is important, especially in terms of reward and income and like this stuff. And this is actually what this big sector do. But we have to raise and to show clearly the contribution of this sector. If those who are professionals succeed to do that, then there will be no problem. Okay.
So no more question, no more reflection.
I think we have a reflection before we close that.
You wanted to say something, please?
I didn't listen to you.
Yes, it's Munene here. I think my reflection is on from the first day, the different definitions that we are getting, and I like the debate and how the debate is going on, because I'm seeing that from different regions, Central Asia, East Africa, continue to Sahel, we are seeing locally infused definitions of what rangeland and pastoralism is, and I think as we keep going on and as we reflect on the coming lectures, we are going to see even much more confusing, I would say, but much more enriching definitions of rangelands and pastures. And by the end of it, we shall be more knowledgeable to infuse and make it more wholesome, these definitions from the Canadian perspective. I think from Christine on the first day, to Elvira, to Professor today, and all this. I think in terms of reflection, I think this is what you're going to start to get and to understand. And so I'm very much enjoying the debates in this matter. Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is a very good comment, really. As you said, there are different settings, and this is not identical. What we do, is, as you said, that may differ here and there. And something categorizing or doing something like this may not be exactly fit in other place. But at the end, we are trying actually, as you said, that to make a frames of communication and frames of understanding that it is. If we want to, for example, in the projects, in the studies, and all this stuff. So not necessary to be something universal, as in the laws of physics. It is something where we are trying to identify and to give a level of meaning. I agree with you with what you said, and I think this is a good comment as well.
Thank you.
I think, Professor, you have quite already you have written quite enough in the form of the lessons, under each unit. There's a lot of description you gave regarding these different terms, connotations, and including the case studies you have supported with. So, I would say that all of our participants will enrich their perspectives when you will read the material on the platform. Okay. So and different debates will continue, of course. The recent the last reflection on this chat box is by Martin, who is coming from Albania, and she is a struggler for the transhumance and the pastoralism in this part of the world, especially in the Balkans. So I often read about her reflections and the issues she flags in different forums. So you wanted to say something quickly and briefly, Martin? You can come on the camera, or you can be on mic.
Video. Yes, I'm very happy to join you now. I had many problems to get inside the Zoom, but we will be together. So the transhumance for me is something very important, and I'm struggling in a balcony to say there are other answers. It's not only intensive pastoralism, which is not the future, but I think there are problems in all the world, and we have really to be together. What I wrote before, it is to say that in many policies are missing. We are making very big mistakes. This is the problem we have in Balkany, that this is the problem in Balkany, that they would like to transfer the system of intensive pastoralism also for extensive and transhumance, and it's not possible. It's another way of living. This course is very nice because you are coming from all the world, and we have special things to say and to gather together. I don't have answer. I'm going to fight, and this is what I can say. And it's very important that it's existing everywhere. It's a way of living, a way of understanding the world, a way of, and you know that many people, and will be one of our conference, that the shoppers, the transhumance are the guardians for the future in all this crisis. So I will be very happy to learn a lot from all of you.
Okay. Thank you for your reflection and your comments. Yes, I think intensive pastoralism, I mean, it's not intensive pastoralism, I guess. It is about grazing, intensive grazing or extensive grazing, right? So yes. Yeah. So I think intensive grazing is not encouraged anywhere.
But unfortunately, many governments think it is the future. Is also okay. It's a question. We have more animals. We have more money, and it's not true. It's very short-sighted, and they don't see either the context consequence and nothing. Now in Albania, the government says we must do something, suffer more, but we went to UNESCO. But they are going on to be with logic of intensive pastoralism.
Okay, so your your experiences are noted. It's perfect. You have been you have been struggling with this government. I guess it's not the problem with only Albania. It's a common
Absolutely.
problem. Common problem even in Africa, where the rangelands and pastoralists are too many. I mean, very prevalent and very much in size and number. So the attitudes of the governments are still not very favorable, like the Mongolia has, or the Kyrgyzstan has, and few other countries do have. So this is a kind of common problem, and especially in the Europe, my experience says that the Europe has generated all this stigma, right? Like against the pastoralist communities. I'm
Yeah, but
sorry, I'm not offending anyone, any European, right? Because the Europe is the civilization which is at the apex of the development, right?
But
Yes, let me
sorry.
complete. Let me complete, please.
Yes,
So
of
my
course.
point is that the many of the paradigms and many of the concepts have been evolved and floated by this part of the world, the European continent. So, and of course, it is the leading continent in majority of the sciences and majority of the areas, ideas, etc. But this kind of the negative environment against the pastoralism is also in my perception. I'm not again offending anyone. Is a gift from the Europe, which has been spread all over the world, and not only in this, but in majority of the things where, like for example, you can take the indigenous peoples, the all the negative things against, they were just um, originated from this part of the world. And then these are the problems where and then again, if we see that this is the same continent where the voices of the people are like rising, and to address or the recorrect the course. So this is the just one thing. Second thing, just quickly, I like to brief that we should also be very hopeful now, because you see if you see, look into the movement of the indigenous people globally, that took very long time, and now you have very special recognition of the indigenous people in all literally all the legal instruments or policies or the debates. I mean, majority of the spaces do have a space for the indigenous people this time across the world. Similarly, the pastoralists like this IYRP has been declared first time by United Nations Assembly, and next year it is going to happen. And there is a growing awareness about the issues and the sufferings of the pastoralist communities across the world. So probably the pastoralists or the people who are working for the pastoralists, they still have to go long way. to struggle a long, long way. It's not an easy cake. We cannot change the attitudes of the state or even the United Nations or the international organizations, especially the conservation organizations. We cannot change the attitudes overnight. It's a long struggle. Thank you.
I would just like to add something, that Albania is, we say, is in Europe, but not only, is a crossing between Asia, Europe, and Africa point. And in Albania, there are indigenous populations. But the problem is that, first of all, is a very bad negative, because there are a lot of war and things like that about Balkany. But the second thing is a very bad understanding, because the progress may not be to have the same model like America, like the capitalist countries. But they say we have a way of thinking, but they don't know that many of you have exactly the same way, because it's a way of being with the world. And this is all the voice of the indigenous people. And I would like that one day news in Europe also exist. Even in my university, I'm making a PhD now. In France, the teacher says, "Oh, Europe is only capitalism, is Western model," and it's not true. We have many places, and I think all of you who are coming from all these different traditional countries, and you have a lot to give. And to say that this indigenous people we can find in Balkany, who says we are autochthon people and having a special link with the animals, the nature, and so on, is not for nothing, but they have suffered. We are not alone.
Okay, thank you, Martin. I think we are going to close this session.
Yes.
There's a lot of discussion we have done, and
thank you for your welcoming.
Yeah, thank you.
Of
thank
all
you.
of you.
Thank you. And our all these discussions will continue. Tomorrow we have a very interesting lecture of Professor Letizia Bindi.
Tomorrow? At what time?
You can see in the schedule. I can demonstrate you in few minutes. Okay.
Okay. It's my teacher.
Yes, we know. So tomorrow is very seasoned expert and a scholar on the transhumance will be with us. And I think not only us, but we also mobilize the other friends to join tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. And quickly, just 2 announcements. Let me share with you. Okay, sorry. So if you see my screen, I request all of you, humbly request, please do not create new topics where only your face is seen and there is no single post in reply of your creation of the new group. What is the logic, please? Like if someone is submitting the answer to the question, or answer to the or reflecting on something which is written in the lessons, so there is no need of creating the new topic, right? So if you create so many topics, the people will confuse, the other people will confuse. So this group is already there, where 140 posts are already existing. So is there any problem writing your comment here? You can write on the bottom of it here. And at the same time, you should read the comments written by others. It's a better learning. On overgrazing, I was very happy to see very nice comments on the overgrazing, right? Many reflections were done by here. And even there was a very new dimension like including the ducks into the definition of the pastoralism. Cynthia has raised this yesterday. And I think Christine is also commenting something here. So you please participate in this group, and you can limitlessly post here. I don't think there is any need of creating a new topic and confusing the others. Rather, it's not useful.
Clear.
Please. So this is just one thing, and yeah. Where is second thing? Yeah, here. So Martin, the Zoom links are here on this page, introduction. You go to the first introduction page. I don't know how you enter in this, whether you have seen this or not. You please take help of someone. Flip, your friend Flip is here on this forum right now. Yeah, Philip can help you very well to enter into this platform here. So
You already did. That's
yeah.
why I'm here today.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Flip. Thank you, Flip. So here on this introduction page, just introduction, first introduction before module 1. If you scroll down, please. So you have whole list of this these Zoom sessions right here. And tomorrow the session is this 2.2, unit 2.2. Tomorrow, you see 26 November, 4 p.m. Central European Time, 4 p.m. And the Zoom link is also here. You simply click and then you will reach to the Zoom.
Yes, but I couldn't go inside the Zoom. And I took 1 hour today to ask people to help me.
No, it's very. But tomorrow you should be careful that tomorrow you cannot easily enter into it, because tomorrow the system will ask you for registration. So you have to. Everybody has to sign in. If you do not have Zoom account in your email, you have to create your Zoom account first. Then only you can register in this tomorrow. Is only for tomorrow. Otherwise, all other Zoom sessions are quite open. You click and then you reach there. So, okay, that's done. Take care. Tomorrow we will meet again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, and bye-bye.